I want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight. I know what a big sacrifice it is, you know, at the end of the day, being tired, you want to go home, you want to go cook, rest, sleep, anything other than maybe listen to a speaker at this hour of the day. But it means a lot to me, and I want to deliver value to you guys, because for me, time is precious. I know it is for you, and I respect it. So my goal for today is for you to walk out of here with something that you can apply in your life. So you can apply it either socially or you can apply it professionally. Okay? And that's my goal, is to make something for you to walk out here with something. I want to first of all thank Zeke. Zeke is amazing. It is such an incredible honor to have him here. Although I've gained about 5 pounds ever since he's been here, because it's very tempting just to go down the hallway to grab some coffee. But he's incredible. So I want to thank him for being here. And also, Zeke also has an event planning company. I've personally used him at one of our parties, my dad's 70th birthday. He was amazing. So if you ever need anything. I also want to thank Felix for the lights and the audio. Felix is incredible at what he does. It's also a blessing to have him here so that he can video this and so that we can later show it to those that couldn't show up tonight. But thanks again very much, Felix, for showing up today and doing everything you do. And I want to thank you once again. I want to thank everybody for being here. This is about you. This is a story about struggle. This is our story. We all share a common struggle. We all share, either personally or in profession, we have struggles. You know, it started out as a child for me when I was 19, 20 years old, that I was raised by my grandmother. So I always had elders around me. And I got to hear their stories, always stories of the days and what they used to do back in the day. And I got a lot of wisdom. I listened a lot. Believe it or not, I'm a very quiet individual. I like to reflect and think. And I listened a lot to the wisdom that they shared. When I was 19 or 20 years old, I was in college and I said, you know what? I don't want to commit the same mistakes that other people have committed. So instead of inventing the wheel, I want to listen to the people that have been there and done that. So I chose some mentors. Some of my mentors are people I had never even met before. And I read upon them. I read about their life, their childhood, what they did to get where they wanted to go. And so I got a little notepad. I went to Edgar Drugs. Back in the day, there was Edgar Drugs. And I got a little notepad, and I put it in the back of my pocket. And I started to walk around, and the criteria was to interview people that were like 60 and over. And I would ask them a question. I would say, if you could do it all over again, what would you do differently? And that was the first time I've ever done that. And I would write down the response. The common response was, I wish I would have been a better husband to my wife, or a better father to my children. I wish I wouldn't have drank as much. I wish I would spend more time with my family. I wish I would have gotten my education. You know, I wasted so much time. So you started hearing those kind of responses, you know, and I kept it. To this day, I still have that notebook. Okay, I kept it and I read it. Later on, I started practicing law, and for 18 years now I've been practicing. And all of a sudden, sitting across on the other side of the conference room table is a client that's telling me pretty much the same thing I've heard before in my little notepad. Okay? And for any of you that know me, I'm a very organized individual, very meticulous. So I started organizing my notes on different categories of struggles. Okay? At the time, it was legal struggles. And I would put the date and the case of the individual that I handled. And so over time, I started to see a common theme over and over and over again with business and legal and personal problems and struggles that people were having. And I started comparing my notes. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And to this day, I still have volumes of information that I used that's the content for this seminar that I'm having here today. This seminar is a trailer to the movie, because in a minute I'm going to talk about the professional struggles. There's social struggles as well. and they could be lengthy, but we're not here to talk about today's the social struggles. I'm here to talk about professional struggles. And each one of these that appear here, 16 of them, okay, merit at least 2 seminars. The volumes of content that I have for each one is its own specific seminar. And so what I've decided to do is today, instead of going deep into any one particular subject matter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go broad. Okay? And I'll cover the umbrella of how these professional struggles, okay, affect us as startup entrepreneurs. Many of you may have a business, okay, and may see these right now as an issue, okay? Many of you may not have the business yet, but are thinking about quitting your day job to start your own business, and I promise you, this will pop up on your radar. I promise you, as a business owner, it'll pop up. It's popped up on mine, and it's popped up on years and years of individuals that I've interviewed, people that I've met, okay? These are real life people that I've put here. Everybody here, all these issues have a name, okay? And they have their story of struggle. And I was blessed enough to sit across that table in a conference room or in a courtroom and to hear the problems and to be there to facilitate and solve it for them. So I am like beyond genuinely, authentically grateful for the opportunity to be here, because from my humble beginnings, I really don't deserve to be here. And that's why I feel like it's time for me to give back. It's time for me to give back to my community. Why? Because opportunities were given to my family when they needed it the most. And now it's time for me to give back in gratitude and thankfulness for what opportunities I have. And there's a quote. I love quotes, obviously, as you can see in this wall. This is my favorite wall. My mom is a master, English master's, and so she used to always read to me quotes and this and that, and I guess that somehow stuck with me. But each quote there has something to do with a struggle, has something to do that reminds me of something that I've overcome or a client has overcome. And the quote that I wanted to say was, where is it? It has to do with gratitude. It's Bernard Shaw. And it reads, Bernard Shaw said, "I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can." And my other quote that I really love regarding this topic of struggles is from Mother Teresa, "Never worry about numbers. Help one person at a time, and always start with the person nearest you." So that means a lot to me, you know, and I take that to heart. So why the seminar? Another reason that I do the seminar is I hear common themes when I do guest speaking events at high schools, at colleges, at the Florida Bar, law schools, universities, and people are always telling me, I have issues with my plan. I have issues with wearing too many hats. My competition, I underestimated. I went full in, all hands in, and I lost. And now I'm out, and I got to go back to get my day job. So I kept hearing those stories. So this is why we're doing this seminar, okay? Third reason I like to do this is the underdog. I'm the underdog. We're all the underdog. The underdog is Rocky Balboa, Rudy, Cinderella, and we all start from something, right? We are all starting somewhere. My family came here in 1969 looking for opportunity and freedom. They were the underdog. And the most basic principle that I learned was from my parents. And that's the principle that if I had more room on this board, I would put as an umbrella over this. But I put it here in the top corner, which is hot. In order to be successful, you must be hot. Okay? And that was taught by my parents at an early age, where I would go with them and paint a house, clean a house. And I would sit there with my cars and I'd watch my dad up and down the stairs working. And that too, you know, resonated in me and stayed with me. And HOT is something that stands for hardworking, okay, organized, and time management. If you don't have this, you will not succeed in business. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Because I could talk to you about how to guide you, I can give you all the tips on how to resolve these struggles, but the fundamental principle is you got to work hard. Being an entrepreneur is a very sacrificial life. An extremely sacrificial life. You know, I've had my own walk with failure. Him and I were very tight for a long time. You know, I almost lost my business, I almost lost my house, my family. I became somebody completely different because the burdens that you carry, the worry, the concern, plague you, right? And we were like this for a long time. But if it wasn't for the fact that I learned how to become more efficient, how to become organized, and how to manage my time, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. This subject matter is very dear to me for two reasons. Personally, because I lived it, and also because of my clients that I see. And I want to share this with you. I don't want to waste your time, and I keep saying that. I want you to walk out here and say, wow, I went to a seminar the other day that I paid $200 for, and I learned nothing. But yet I came over here, and I never expected to walk out with principles and guiding tips and points that I can directly apply the moment I walk out of this meeting today. Okay? Time management. If you don't manage your time, you're done. You're done. Okay? There's only 24 hours in a day, and I'll talk to you in a little bit about how this affects the time management. Okay? So, we only have reserved an hour. Okay? And like I said, this is a repeat seminar because the first one we'd had was in the morning about 2-3 weeks ago, and people have requested that we host another one in the evening for people that get off of work. I also want to thank the people that have come back for the second time to hear me, you know, and I hope that you take something additional, something new from the first one. But again, later on we'll focus more on this. So I don't want to miss anything, so that's why I keep reflecting back on my notes here. So let me provide you with a system that will help you with your struggles. Okay? How are we going to resolve these struggles? Step one, you have to identify the struggle first to be able to fix the struggle. If you can't identify the problem, how are you going to fix the problem? Right? And you have to ask yourself, is the problem a social problem or is it a professional problem? Is it a social problem or is it a professional problem? Okay? 2 weeks ago I had a mediation with a very, very, very successful attorney / businessman. And after this mediation, he pulls me to the side and he says, an individual that I consider way smarter than I am. And for me, I was flattered that he was asking me the questions that he was asking me. He said, Edgar, how do I organize myself to grow? The business is there, but we just aren't growing fast enough. The overhead, all the concerns, the time, I'm wearing too many hats, I'm trying to do the actual work. How do I fix this? And I said, well, you know, we sat down and I said, do you have a second? And he's like, sure. We sat there for about 40 minutes and I kind of went over this and I said, why don't you apply the principle of what is the most important thing for you? Okay, what is it that your business professionally derives the most value from? And he's like, I don't know. I was like, well, that's your homework assignment. Go write it down. And socially, as an individual, what's the most important thing in your life? And write that down. And you start to identify the most important things so that you become more mindful and aware of where your time is going. Time management. Because if you're not aware of what your meaning is, of what you value the most, then your time is just being wasted on something that delivers no value to you. And that's important. That's important because that's the root cause of the problem when you come to see me regarding a struggle. When you need to engage legal counsel because you didn't do this properly. And it brings problems at home and it brings problems in your business. So we spoke about it, and he called, that was like 2-3 weeks ago. He called me like 3 days ago, and he says, thank you so much. I'm getting organized. Obviously, it's not a quick fix. You know, another word that I bought and I put up that board is organic. Nothing here that I'm going to talk to you about is a quick fix. I'm not one of those individuals that are like, you know, dial now and deliver a quick fix and your money back guaranteed. It's not. It's not like one of those New Year's resolutions that everybody makes at the beginning of the year, but by 3 weeks, 4 weeks into it, they've forgotten about it. This is a way of life. If you want to succeed, okay, you've got to change the way you are practicing your business right now. You have to, plain and simple. Plain and simple. It's not a diet that you lose your weight, the goal that you want to lose. It is a standard of living. It's a way of practicing. Okay, so let's talk about the system. Is it what's the struggle? Is it social or professional? Okay, why is that important? Well, because when you go to step 2, right, I call this, and for those that are here the second time know what this is called. This is the theory of thirds. The theory of thirds. Something so simple, but yet not easily applied. You have 24 hours in a day. You have social hours, you have 8 hours for your social life. That's your family, your friends, whatever it is that you do socially, your kids, okay? Here, there's a long list, just as long as this list over here. But this seminar is not about social struggles. This seminar is about business startups and entrepreneurs. So is it the struggle social, or is the struggle professional? Because we have 8 hours in our professional life. As an entrepreneur, it's really more than 8 hours. Okay? And for rest and sleep, you have another 8. Each one of these impacts the other. Each one of them. If I'm having struggles socially, money problems at home, it's going to carry over to my professional life. And it's going to impact my business. Because I'm going to be distracted, I'm going to be concerned, I'm not going to be able to manage my time properly, I'm not going to be able to organize myself, I'm not going to be able to work as much as I have to. Professionally, if I face one of these struggles, okay, the same thing. It all carries into my rest and sleep 8 hours, which now you're cut down to 4 hours, which I'm familiar with those hours. And then you come back over here and you're an irritable human being that doesn't get along with anybody, the most loved people in your life, your husband, your wife, your children. You're yelling at them, you're not the same individual because you're carrying all this weight. And then you take it over here, affecting your partners, affecting your decision making, affecting how you deal with your clients, and so on and so forth. And it's a vicious cycle, and you can't get off the wheel. You can't get off the wheel. And there's a saying it's not an issue until it becomes an issue. Okay? People will say, yeah, I know that's a problem, but I'll deal with it. But when it becomes an issue, it's going to affect your life, your marriage, your job, your partnerships, everything. So don't let it become an issue. Do something about it now. And the only way to do something about it now is being aware of the things that are out there. These professional struggles are years of observation. Okay? And I'll begin with the first one, which is purpose. Okay? And by the way, I'm not going too deep into this, but the social struggles, they're things that based like on, have you noticed when somebody's faced with their mortality or they're older in age or in their 80s and 90s, they start to change and they're like, oh, I wish I would have been a better dad. I wish I would have, that's the interviews that I had. But it's too late, right? We have to be there to listen to those guys. Okay? We have to be there to listen to those guys. And I took a survey of the top common social struggles. And again, I wish I would have been a better spouse, a better parent. I wish I would have feared failure so much, was a big one. And I have a quote for that one. I love this quote. It's by Winston Churchill that says, success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. Okay? That means getting your teeth kicked in and getting back up and brushing the dirt off your face and going at it again. Okay? I mean, I'm like one of those hockey players. I lost almost all my teeth, you know? But that's what it is. Because failure, and I have it up there, equals feedback. What did I do wrong now so that I can apply it moving forward and making the adjustments? I'm a sports guy, right? You see those football games where somebody's getting, clobbered in the first quarter, second quarter. They go into halftime and it's like they changed players and they come out playing their hearts out and they win the game. What is it? They made adjustments. Their failures, the way they played defense, offense in the first half, completely changed and made the adjustments. Life is the same way. Life is the same way. We have to make the adjustments. We have to listen to the ones that love us the most. We have to listen to the people that we work with, our clients, and make those adjustments. Okay? So, purpose. Let me go to purpose. In a social setting, your purpose is called your purpose, but in business it's called your mission statement, right? So why, the first one that I put up here is purpose. Because before you even think about starting a business, you have to have a reason, a meaning as to why you're opening up the business. If you're opening it up for money, you're never going to make it, okay? Ray Kroc said that. He goes, if you open something up for money, you're never going to make it. But if you do it for passion, money will follow you. Okay? So you have to have that purpose. Okay? And also it's like a navigation system, because if you don't have a purpose, like Yogi Berra said, the coach of the Yankees, you're going to end up somewhere other than where you wanted to very fast. Okay? So this is the beginning. This is the beginning. Okay? Number 2 is no plan. Many professionals talk about, oh, I'm just going to wing it. I'll figure it out as I go. I'll write the business plan later on. If you don't have a plan, where are you going to go? It's like getting in a car without a GPS. All right? You don't go on a vacation and say, I don't know where I'm going to go. I'm just going to jump on a plane. You know where you're going to go. You make reservations. Right? The third issue, the third struggle that's common is the business owner that says, I wear too many hats and I can't do the actual work. Okay? Entrepreneurs are smart people. They're driven. They're risk takers. And they have incredible ideas. But if their ideas, all right, if they're not able to do what their genius is at, or whatever that product or service that they do, and they're not able to do that and do the actual work because they're too caught up with administration, too caught up with what appears on this list, they're going to become one of those statistics that fail within the first 5 years. You've heard of it. 80 to 90% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. The remaining ones die out after the next 5. Okay? And that's an important point, because people are like, well, why did that business make it? You know, that guy's so lucky. Or he had a silver spoon in his mouth and he got help. I call that the iceberg effect. You know, I don't know if anybody's heard of the iceberg effect, but you know, the iceberg is water, right? And then down here, you know, the iceberg, the only thing you see above the water looks like a shark, but is the tip of the iceberg. The iceberg is like 10 times bigger underneath the water. That's the part you don't see. Up here, everybody sees success, you know, happiness, money, you know. But down here, people don't see the failure, the hard work, all the long hours that people had to take to get to this point. So they're lucky. That's the iceberg effect. These guys followed these principles. I'm not making this up, guys. This is after long periods of meeting with people, reading principles of business and law and application. And I want to share this with you. Okay? So, time. Here we go again. Time. If you can't manage your time and do the actual work and become efficient, then you're not generating enough revenue for your business. So you have to figure out a system on how I'm going to divide up my time so that I can do the actual work and have somebody that I can trust that can help me out with these other areas. Okay? Idea. Okay? Everybody's got business ideas, but have you placed your business idea have you researched the market to see if your idea has a market? Have you studied the demographics? Have you studied the area? Have you done the proper research? Okay, is your idea something that somebody else is already doing, but better and bigger? Because why would you go into business why would I open up a McDonald's next to another McDonald's, or a hamburger joint next to Burger King or Wendy's? That's not a good idea. But as silly as that may sound, there's a lot of people that come in here and tell me, well, my partner and I had this idea. I sold my house, he sold his, and we went all in. And then after 4 or 5 months, we had to close because we didn't have a market. And now we're dealing with the broken lease, the partnership disputes as who owes what, right? And see where it goes, how it escalates. Brand. Brand is everything. Brand is your image. That's who you are. That's your identity. And the brand of your business, of your company, affects every decision you make. Everything. Everything. What does the company stand for? Who am I? Okay? Is the decision that I'm about to make go against the brand that I've established in this community? And again, that's an organic monster, that brand, because it's not something that from one day to the next is established. Brand takes time, consistency, okay? That's what it takes to establish your business, okay? Money and capital. You can't go very far in your car if you don't fill up the tank. If you don't have money in your business, you're not going to go anywhere. And you have to decide, and believe it or not, I have a lot of people that tell me, what should I do? How do I fund my company? And they ask, should I do a bank loan? Should I do a small business administration loan? Should I do a partnership? Should I be an investor? Should I have an equity crowdfunding? What should I have? How am I going to fund this thing? Okay, that's very important. What's the number one reason for divorce in the home? All right. It's the same thing over here. Guys, it's very eerie how similar this list is to this list. It's very similar and very eerie. Running your home is like running a well-oiled company. You have to have respect. You have to have integrity. You have to have discipline. You have to have a brand. People know what type of family you are because they're consistently doing the same thing. Okay? So money is one of the biggest things. And so what happens? You run out of money, partnership breakups, right? Issues, lawsuits. You take the problem home, affects your house, you can't sleep, and all of a sudden you have a drinking issue, your life is a disaster. All right? It's maybe simple. It may be like, wow, I knew that. But if you don't have it organized like this and look at it, because the way that I run my business and the way that I consult with other business owners is I say, write this list down, call this the checklist, and make sure that you're hitting every one of them. And every quarter, start off every quarter, and make sure that the purpose is tight, everything's running the same way that I designed it to be, the plan is in action, that I'm not wearing too many hats and I'm not exhausted. Do I have the time, the idea, the brand? Do we have the money? Is the flow going all right? The structure. The structure is what kind of business are we going to have? Are we going to have a sole proprietorship, a partnership, a C Corp, S Corp, LLC, franchise, a nonprofit? What are we? Because that affects everything. This is the unattractive, the stuff that's not fun to talk about, but it's the foundation. It's that underwater iceberg part. Without it, you're not going to float, and this tip here is going to sink. But it has to be addressed because it's the foundations. You can't build a solid business. It's like a deck of cards. You can't build it on sand. Got to build it on concrete. You got to build it on concrete. Trust me on that. Got to figure what structure you're going to be. Insurance is huge. You know, this is one of the biggest ones that I see. Everything's checked off, right? And they forget to get professional liability insurance. And they come in here and they forgot to read the policy on the errors and omissions, right? And all of a sudden now they're facing a nice little letter from a letterhead with an attorney's name on top that says, I give you 20 days to answer my demand. If not, we're placing this matter right into litigation, wherein you will pay attorney's fees and costs that are reasonable and damages for my client because you failed to have the proper insurance coverage. That is, like divorce is like the #1 reason of breakups. Insurance is one of those top reasons why businesses go down. Order the policy, read the policy now, not when there's a claim. Read the policy, make sure that everything is properly on the policy, your name, your address, your social security, everything's written perfectly, because I tell you what, when it goes to underwriting, and I'm very familiar with this, when it goes to underwriting and they're going to decide whether to accept the claim or deny it, they're very quick to look at those exclusionary clauses and say it doesn't apply. And then you're up a creek and then they're making a consult to come see me. Don't let that happen to you guys. Don't let that happen to you guys. Everybody in here's got an incredible idea and we got to protect it. Licenses and permits. If you're whatever industry you're in, you got to be compliant with the licenses and permits. Okay? I have a lot of clients that come in and they have to shut down for 3 or 4 weeks to apply for their permits, and they're down. They're not making any money for 4 or 5 weeks. The mortgage at home doesn't stop. The kid's school doesn't stop. Money keeps, the TICO bill doesn't stop. Don't let that happen. Accounting and taxes. I probably speak to my wife just as much as I speak to my accountant. My CPA and I have been together for about 15 years. Okay? He calls me, I call him on my cell. Before I buy movie passes, I call him. You know, it's something that's important because we all have an obligation as American citizens to maintain our country. And we do it through our taxes. There's nothing wrong with that. He tells me that tax, Uncle Sam is my partner. That's what he tells me all the time. If I make $100, I'm not making $100. I'm not netting that. I have to give it to my other partner. So I have a partner. You got to make sure that your taxes are right. You got to be able to know what can you write off. Okay? A lot of businesses, just the other day, oh my gosh, this is a good one. Just the other day, a very, very smart individual that didn't look at the checklist comes in, he says, my God, I owe like $25,000 worth of tax. I fired my CPA, can I talk to yours? He did. But he says, look, for next year you can apply this, but you still got to pay this 25, right? He could have really written it down to maybe 6 legally, right? Big difference, big difference. Legal compliance, okay? Everybody in here, like I said, is a very smart business owner. Everybody, all right? And one of the biggest issues of litigation that I used to face when I represented Progressive was I would interview doctors that weren't compliant with the medical coding, okay, when submitting bills to hospitals and health insurance companies. It wasn't because they were fraudulent, it's just simply they didn't know how to do it. And so that cost their office a lot of time and money, okay? Human resources, that's one of the most important assets that a company has, it's your people, okay? And I'm not just saying this because, you know, I have some of them that are here listening to me, but they have been with me for 14, 15 years now. And we're going to retire together, is the saying here. It's like my wife, my 6 kids, and my office. That's everything to me. That's my nucleus. I would drop anything that I'm doing on a weekend, no matter what time, to help them, to be there for them. Okay? And I appreciate them. And the fact that I could do this, the fact that we can open up networking leads and it allows me to step aside from the law firm is made possible by the people that are here. Okay? They're smart, they're dedicated individuals. Okay? You got to learn how to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. There's a saying that says, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you need to leave that room. So that's very important. Surround yourself by smarter people. Competition, okay? Before you go hit the market, you got to realize what your competition is. Non-compete clauses are huge. Non-compete clauses are huge. You have an idea, you want to leave, but you sign a non-compete, it's got you tied down for 5 years, all right? And Another analysis that we do, that's another seminar, is what's your competitive advantage? That's another nice little chart that you do. It's called the UCA, your CA rather, competitive advantage. And you write your list. You write your competitors, you write them all down, and you. What do you do better than them? What do you do better than them? Or what do you do that's the same as them? That's another seminar to come. But how do you beat them? How do you beat them? Fairly, ethically, of course. Everything here is ethical. I wouldn't be doing business if it wasn't. But there's a way to do that, and it's fun. I get giddy thinking of these ideas and plans and implementing them. You can do it too. You can do it, and do it efficiently. Technology, that's another issue. Not as big as the rest, but something you have to keep your eye on. As a matter of fact, we're dealing with an issue with our Wi-Fi. And Hughes comes to me about 20 minutes ago, and he says to me, I'm going to tell you something you don't want to hear. We're going to have to get a dedicated T1 line in here because we're having issues. We're drawing too much, what is it, Hughes, that we're drawing? Bandwidth? Yes, yes. Yeah, you're like Scotty, you know? Yeah, beam me up, right? So, yeah, we'll talk about that later. It's distracting. It's the back of my mind now that I don't even know what a T1 costs, but it doesn't sound cheap. So that's another one. Marketing and advertising, this probably has 2 or 3 seminars dedicated to this. I can really help you come up with an incredible plan that is efficient, that will help you beat your competition, and that will help you. Because a lot of people get marketing and advertising, they use these words interchangeably. Marketing is a cat or a dog, and advertising is the other animal. They're not the same. I hear many people saying, oh, I went to a marketing lunch. I'm like, well, really? You went to a marketing lunch? Like, what, you're going to talk about your strategy with those people? No, you went to a promotion lunch, an advertising lunch. Marketing, okay, and let me read this. Marketing. Marketing strategy means to find a person or group that has a specific need and then provide them with value so that they can trust you. You find this through ongoing observation, research, and analysis. You need to install a systems thinking mindset. Okay, it's like a machine, right? That you run everything through that machine. To run your entire marketing plan so that you can filter all your ideas through the system to see if it supports your overall marketing strategy and brand. It's a machine. You have an idea, put it into the machine, grind it out, and if it spits out what you want or you don't want, that's where the decisions go. It's that simple. It's that technical. It really is. It saves you a lot of money. And when it's something that goes through your marketing systems machine and it falls under a want and you implement it, right, with the brand, with all this in mind, it becomes highly effective for you. Super effective. Look at it this way. Look at it this way. Most people that are having struggles, all right, one of these, 16, okay, get caught up and distracted with, let's just pick anyone. They have a non-compete issue, right? And now they have to spend some time and money on an attorney to represent them. Where if they would have, before signing the non-compete, right, would have spent maybe $300, $400 talking to an attorney about what to do, versus now having to spend $10,000 to $15,000 in litigation, right? Which that's where we are right now under this example. So that person's all distracted at home. He's yelling at everybody, kicking the dog. He's not talking to his partners anymore. He's not sleeping anymore, right? So what does that what happens now? Your marketing, right, is affected because you're spending so much money and time and resources, on something that is sucking your time away, your resource, okay? That now, that money that you could have used to market is now like a double hit on you. Because let's say the attorney's fees are $20,000. Instead of spending $20,000 plus your time on resolving a struggle, you could have put $20K into the marketing strategy to get the advertising. Advertising are the bullets that implement the strategy, to then create rain for your business. So the $20,000 you invest in the marketing and advertising is creating now tenfold the amount of money versus what you're losing now over here, because you're losing money here and you can't invest there, so you're losing money and opportunity down there as well. See how that works? People think, oh, I just paid the attorney $20,000. I got a problem. You didn't lose 20K. You lost possibly 100K. It's that simple. But you got to have the checklist. Don't let an issue become an issue. Be proactive and address it before it happens. Okay? So back to the marketing strategy. So how do you create a marketing strategy? Okay? You first have to create a marketing statement, a strategy. And it's something simple as the purpose of, then fill in the blank, your company name, is to serve, what's my client, and to provide them with, what's their need, that in turn will create the confidence to continue using us and have value, and have them keep coming back. Okay? That's marketing strategy. And again, I have volumes of content on that. My independent research, discussing it with clients, business owners that are much smarter than me, and I go and like I said, I go home, I say hello to my wife, give my wife a big kiss, my children, tuck them into bed, and then I go to my computer and I have all my notes written on my phone, and I sit there and I write them all into the category that it corresponds, and then I go to bed. Because I can't go to bed without putting my notes in. And I do that every day. Every single day. It's not a diet, it's a way of life now. It's a way of life. You know, it's a way of life. You know, it's like the luckier you get, the more successful you are, you know. It's something that if you have this written down and you apply it, you're going to also experience success. I promise you that. I promise you that. There's this survey that they did. It's called the 1% Club. In I think it was 89, MBAs that graduated from Princeton, okay? They called them back like 10 years later, and they wanted to do a survey, right? And so they had them all in a room, and it was like 100 of them, and they asked them all to stand up, and they said, as I ask questions, and if you respond no, I'd like for you to sit down. So everybody's standing up, and they said, how many in here have goals? Like, everybody's got goals, you know? Everybody's a goal. So everybody's still standing up. Nobody sits down. Then the second question was, of all those that have goals, how many of you guys have it written down? And they kind of look at each other like, 10, 15, sit down, right? Of those of you that have goals that are written down, how many of you have it in a place where you could see it? Like another 40, sit down, right? I don't know, at this point it's like 30, 40 still standing up. Of all those that have goals, the next question, of those that have goals that are written down and you can see them, how many of you have it in a place that you could touch it, see it, or carry it on you? Everybody sat down but 3 people. Incidentally, those 3 people, afterwards, they determined that those 3 people together made more money than the 97 people collectively. They did the same study years later, and it was the same result. Those 2-3 individuals, the 1% Club, made more money than the 97 or so that were sitting down. Coincidence? I think not. It's this. It's this. I have this written down on my quarterly review. I designate a day every week to look at my administrative matters. That's budgeting day. That's why the water bill. Water bill came in like one time for like $1,800. We had a leak. We had a leak underneath the deck out there that you can't identify until you see the bill. So I had to address it, you know, things like that. And I was able to get it down to like $300 or $400, right, and fix it. So things like that, administrative stuff that are boring. That's not the fun stuff. It's not the attractive stuff. But if it's not done, it'll sack you completely. So I just go through this randomly. I just go one at a time. And if you're running tight, at first, you know, setting up and going through the process is more time consuming, but as you go and you become tighter and tighter and tighter, it's just a matter of going over and saying, check, 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 check. Hey, Jennifer, you've got to meet about this, or we got to meet about that, or whatever. And how are we going to address it? And then on a quarterly review, then we do it all over and we make the adjustments like if it was a halftime football game. Okay. Advertising. Advertising. Like I said, these are the bullets that implement your strategy. I'm not going to dive into anyone in particular, but it's like your office location, okay? It's your sales team, what I call boots on the ground, TV, radio, print, content, networking. You know, all of these things that you use for advertising are what I call TOMA, top of mind awareness. Top of mind awareness. Your client or your customer is not going to need you today, but if they know that you're a reliable source and they hear about you, you're writing the content to them, you're talking to them, you're educating them, they're going to call you. They're going to call you. Organically. People go to networking meetings, they're like, I didn't get anything out of it. I'm never going back to that networking group. You know, that BNI is terrible, or that chamber is horrible. You can't go into a networking meeting saying, hey, my name is Edgar, what can I do for you? No, people see through that. Give them your card. If you need anything, give me a call. You go back to your office, follow up. You know, send them something that's helpful. Whatever industry they're in, send them, hey, I was thinking of you, and I thought that this may help you. I'll send them something about the law dealing with their area of practice, a realtor. I'll say, hey, check this out. Next time you sign a contract with a client, take a look at this, and I attach the PDF of something that I've read. They're going to remember that stuff. Okay? It's hard work. I mean, it's hard work. But what I do is if I read something at night, I make a note of it, I email it, I forward it to myself, right? And I get in the office in the morning before everything starts. I mean, I get in like around 7:30 and I'm like already slammed. I'm doing all those things to get my day started. And I'll say, okay, I've got 3 people I want to reach out to. And I forward them an email with a PDF. Hey, let's break bread. I hear this guy Zeke makes good coffee. Let's have coffee here. You know? And we meet and we talk. And we have engagement now. I would have never met that guy at a networking meeting or that person or that individual. But now we have. And they're like grateful for it. Okay, that's one way to bring in business in a credible way. Okay? Okay, step 3. Now this is a good one. It's a very simple question, but so hard to answer. What do you want? What do you want? Okay? 4 words, but so difficult to answer. I was having a meeting the other day with a good friend of mine, and I asked them, like Monday, I said, what do you want? Like, you're playing mental games with me. I know you. I'm like, no, it's a simple question. What do you want? What do you mean? That's a very broad question. That's loaded. Why do you answer the question with a question? Just answer, what do you want? I don't trust you. I know you're playing. What's the kicker here? I'm like, man, I'm just asking you, what do you want? I'm trying to help you because I know from previous conversations they're a little frustrated on something. I said, what do you want? They couldn't answer it. 5 hours later, they go, I know what I want. They thought about it, and they came back and listed what they wanted in their life. They listed it, literally. And I said, good. Now, what are you going to do to get that then? What's your plan to get that? What are you going to do about it to get it? Because everybody says, oh, I want to make money. I want to be financially independent. Okay? I want to retire by age whatever. Okay? But what are you going to do about it? Are you going to implement a savings plan? Are you going to invest? What are you going to do? Whatever that case may be, what are you going to do? And that's important for step 3 because under step 3, what do you want? There's an analysis, an 80-20 analysis that you apply. And the 80-20 analysis forces you to identify the things that bring the most value to your life, socially and professionally. This is just an example. If one of the things that you most value in your life is your family, spending time with your wife and kids, then why are you constantly going out of town with your guy friends? Why are you constantly, don't quit that softball league because you got to hang out with your buddies and you're missing important, family time, a play, your daughter's play, which I have tomorrow night, your baseball games, etc. If I get most value by being with my family, then that's what I do. That's what I do. I spend time with them. Professionally, if one of the values of your business is, to run a certain marketing plan, and they offer you something that doesn't fit your marketing strategy, you run it through the machine and it doesn't spit out and it falls under the definitely don't want that, then why are you wasting time and resources over here if it's not furthering what you want? As business owners, you're going to get sacked with offers and invitations and distractions. And it's something so simple. I'm not saying something that you don't already know. But if you don't have it organized like this in your mind, we're too busy. Things are moving fast. You're like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Yeah, sure, sign me up. And you go home, you're like, man, why did I sign up to that? It has nothing to do what I want, There's nothing that implements my brand, my purpose, nothing. And so all of a sudden I'm losing valuable money that I could have been implementing on things that I do want. Again, I'm not going to go too deep on this subject, but this is a 2 or 3 day subject matter just on what do you want and identifying the 80-20. Okay? So what I do is I come over here and I write on my list, I have the top 5 social and the top 5 professional things that I want. I literally have it written down. That sounds nerdy, but I really do. And if I get something and I have to go back and think about it, I'm like, okay, the answer's gonna have to be no. That's another thing. I always tell my kids the following. If anybody comes up to you and says, I need to know right now, I need to know right now, the answer is always no. The answer is always no. Because somebody that pressures you, buy it right now, tomorrow it's not going to be available. I see a lot of guys saying, God, I signed this contract, I didn't want it. Well, why did you sign it? Well, because he was pressuring me. Duress, this, that. The answer is always no. You tell that individual, I got to think about it. You go home, take off your shoes, put on your most comfortable clothes, and run that offer through this system. And if at the end the system comes out under this, you call them up, you say, I'm in. You're going to use this more than you can imagine. There's a quote by Jim Rohn that says, a lot of people don't do well simply because they major in minor things. Right? What does that mean? You're wasting your time on things that are minor over here. Right? And also Mark Twain, which is one of my Hall of Fame quotes, says, the 2 most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. Okay? What's your purpose? It better be really tied up with this want part. Because everything that you do, every step, every decision comes from your purpose. Being so aware and so mindful of what you want makes decision making professionally as an entrepreneur that much easier, and also at home. Okay? Step 4, how do I get what I want? Once you identify all this, you got to write your plan on how you're going to get it and implement it. Okay? Step 5, learn to say no. Okay? Here's another great quote by Warren Buffett. I collect these cards like people collect like Michael Jordan cards and stuff like that. I'm like a geek. I collect Warren Buffett and Jim Rohn stuff. The difference between successful people and really, really successful people is that really, really successful people say no to almost everything. They say no a lot. I told you there was a time that I was very close friends with failure. We're hanging out a lot. And I didn't know any of this. Like if you isolated something like, oh, I've heard of business plans, of course. I've heard of, identifying what you want, and I've heard marketing, but in isolation. But it's when you put it all together that it makes sense It's a new perspective on life, socially and professionally. So by looking at this, I was able to identify the areas that I was, failing at. And I learned how to say no to a lot of things that were here. Wasting my time, wasting my money, right? I don't want to be one of those statistics where it says, I'm at 90 years old, I wish I would have spent more time with my kids or my wife. Well, then why didn't you quit the softball league, or why didn't you quit going fishing every weekend? Right? Do it now. Be aware. Be mindful. Right now. So you have to learn how to say no. The 10th thing that the last thing I was going to talk about is have mentors. Have mentors. Okay? There's a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me that I call upon for advice. Okay? You have to. If you're stuck, even when you process something through here, and it's one of those, man, that's a tight call, that's right on the fence, I don't know, man. Even I've thought about it, I've ran it twice through the system. You call that mentor and say, look, let's identify the question, the issue, what would you do? And then you make your decision. Worst case scenario, the decision goes bad, you can't ever kick yourself and say, I made an impulsive decision. You made an educated decision that didn't go the way you wanted it to go. But you know what? Failure's feedback. You pick yourself up and you go. You keep going forward. And you apply it and you learn from that mistake. But the chances are, honestly, that if you run it through this process and you run it through mentors, bless you, chances are you're not going to fail. The chances of failure are so decreased it's not even funny. But in the event, worst case scenario, I always make decisions like, what's absolute worst case scenario, even though it's a slam dunk? If you can deal with that worst case scenario, you could say, well, at least I made it educated decision. Okay? All right. My goal today was to provide you with something that you can use to apply in your life and in your business. This is a broad trailer view of the movie. Okay? The movie, the series are here. Like Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know how many Rockies there are, but pretty much I think there's like 16 Rockies. I think it's like his grandkids are fighting now. So these are all series dedicated to other seminars, how to help you identify purposes and plans and all these things that come into play. The system remains the same, but it's the ideas that fall under each one of them. So that when you go to do your quarterly review and you open up your notebook, under purpose, you're going to have subsection, A through Z. Same thing with the other ones. Each one of these has 20, 30, 40 pages of subsections. Okay, so my goal is for you to walk out of here understanding that identify the issues before they become an issue. Okay? In closing, another quote that I want to close with is Benjamin Franklin, that he said, "Man can either buy his wisdom or borrow it. By buying it, he pays full price in personal time and treasure. But by borrowing it, he capitalizes on the lessons learned from the failures of others." Don't reinvent the wheel. Okay? It's like Chick-fil-A, they didn't create the chicken sandwich, they just made it better. Right? Something like that, We don't have to go out and recreate things. Just make it better. Apply it to yourself, to your business. And I promise you that you're going to start seeing incredible results, positive results. A change for the better for you at home, with your significant other and your family. Professionally, you're going to generate more revenue, more efficiency, and you're going to sleep a lot better. And this approach I call the holistic, not like holy, but like in its entirety, the holistic approach, by applying all these, because it affects your whole entire life. So I again in closing, just want to say thank you for being here, for sharing this evening with me, this afternoon. I know that I may be running short on time as far as my seminar is concerned. I'm always available to talk to you in person, break bread, share a cup of coffee here with Zeke, discuss some things. Everybody here has got, like I said, has got their own respective profession that you're very smart. You have geniuses in your area of practice. And make it aware, make other people, share that with other people. Okay? And don't be quiet about it. Make it known, share your thoughts with content and things of that nature. So again, I want to thank you, and it means a lot to me to be up here once again for the opportunity to talk about something that I'm so passionate about. Like I said, this is only the surface. We also have social matters that, 2 weeks ago I had an event where we talked about teenage struggles with Carlos Garcia, that's here, clinical psychologist from the University of South Florida. Huge honor. This guy's a walking encyclopedia, okay? And one of the issues that we talked about was a legal issue that called me on Friday afternoon. And it's a sad story, a very sad story. As entrepreneurs, we have to be very aware that if we have a family, we carry this over here. So things have to be tight at home before we start our venture. If things aren't tight at home, they ain't going to be tight over here. So we got to tighten up over here, and you almost have to become a perfectionist. It's not very relaxing, to be honest with you. I'm not the same individual going on vacation, I'm the guy that's, okay, I'll meet you out there at the beach, I'll be out in a minute, let me just finish this last idea or thought. But man, it's something that works. It helped me get out of the struggles that I faced. I have to thank Dulce, that's sitting in the very back. She saw me. I met her at one of my networking events when I was probably at the lowest part of the barrel that you can imagine. And she sat down with me and she's like, all right, what's your plan? What's going on? How can you become more efficient? And it was her that got me thinking, that kick-started the ideas that I need to change. And I really am so internally grateful. It's not because you're in this room. I tell it to everybody, even when you're not in the room, for you have been the catalyst, the key of being able to bounce back. Thank you so much. And she is going to, she invited me to go speak in Vancouver. She's a business coach for Focal Point. She's one incredible business coach. And they have their national conference now, April 25th, and we'll be flying out. She told me this Sunday, and it freaked me out. I almost canceled the seminar because I'm like, I'm not ready to leave this Sunday. But I leave and I speak on the 25th in Vancouver. So it's going to be very exciting for me, and it's a blessing to be up there. So once again, I want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart for being here genuinely. And if you ever need anything, please, I know I'm busy, but we'll carve out some time to talk. All right? Have a very good night, and thank you so much again.